Ni hao, konnichiwa, shalom, bonjour, namaste, jumbo.
Bienvenidos! Hey, my name is Jedley. This is Reading with Your Kids. We're beaming out to you and the entire planet from the beautiful, historical, book-loving neighborhood of Reedville, the loveliest neighborhood in all of Boston. You know, if you've been listening to Reading with Your Kids, you know that I am a firm believer that families that read together grow together. Every time we sit down to share a story, we're building stronger bonds, sparking creativity, and planting seeds of kindness in young hearts. I can't wait to introduce you to today's guest, but before I do, I want to encourage you to let all of your family and friends know about the show and let them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network. And they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, Podcast Addict, Amazon Music, Audible, YouTube. Wherever you find your favorite shows, you can find Reading with Your Kids. Really fun episode for you today. We should call this the Neil episode. First up, Haley Neal is here to celebrate her debut middle grade illustrated novel, Greta Grimsdark. And later in the show, Ginny Neal will be here to celebrate her new picture book, A River of Wind. Hey, before we invite our guests into the studio, I want to let you know, around here at Reading with Your Kids, we believe something pretty strongly. Reading is a team sport. Kids fall in love with books when parents, grandparents, teachers, librarians, authors, and communities all come together to get involved. And this fall, we're taking that idea on the road with the Reading with Your Kids Back to School Literacy Tour. We'll be meeting families, educators, and parent leaders, sharing literacy resources, talking about ways to help kids fall in love with reading, and introducing everyone we meet to a fantastic collection of books and authors that have been specially selected to be part of this year's tour. And we would love for you to come out and see us. On Saturday, September 26th, we'll be at the Read for a Reason Book Fair at East Rock Park in New Haven, Connecticut. Then on Wednesday, September 30th, we're headed to beautiful Secaucus, New Jersey for the PTO Today Expo. And on Wednesday, October 7th, you can find us at the PTO Today Expo in Oaks, Pennsylvania. Why are we taking these books on the road? Because somewhere out there, there's a child waiting to find the right story. Maybe it's a funny story. Maybe it's an adventure. Maybe it's a story about kindness, courage, animals, friendship, imagination, science, history, or something wonderfully weird that makes a kid burst out laughing. Sometimes one great book is all that it takes to change the way a child thinks about reading. And we want to help families find those books. So if you're near New Haven, Secaucus, or Oaks, come find the Reading with Your Kids booth. Stop by and say hello. Meet the books we've selected for the tour. Discover some terrific authors. Pick up ideas for making reading something your family looks forward to rather than something kids feel they have to do. Because the goal isn't simply to create kids who can read. We want to create kids who choose to read. Kids who talk about books. Kids who get excited about stories. Kids who see reading as one more way to have fun with the people they love. That's what the Reading with Your Kids Back to School Literacy Tour is all about. September 26th in New Haven, September 30th in Secaucus, October 7th in Oaks. Come on out and see us. We'll see you down the road. Join us right now from not too far from our Reedville studios. Our guest is here today to celebrate her debut middle grade illustrated book. It's called Greta Grimsdark. Please welcome to the show the very undark Haley Neal. Hey, Haley, how are you?
Hello, I am doing really well. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. My friends, Haley, when she jumped on the Zoom, I said, how you doing? She goes, I just got home from work. It was so much fun. I got slime underneath my fingernails. It was fantastic.
I've been doing a program all summer. So first of all, we're deep in summer reading. If you haven't checked out your local library, please do. There are programs for all ages. I'm deep in kids summer reading right now, and I've been doing a weekly program, which we call Make and Play, where kids can make something that they then take home and play with. Because I've noticed so many crafts end up getting tossed. And this is just a sustainable way to do some crafting. Today we did slime. And it was my first time making slime, and oh my gosh, the kids had the best time.
I'm sure.
I do have dye and slime under my finger still, but what a joy. What an honor that I get to do that for my job.
You know, I want to just give a shout out to librarians. Libraries are such, talk about an unsung hero of our communities. You know, libraries provide so many different services. And I've been in libraries all over the country, and they're a place for everyone. But what's I think is most vital for us to remember is that they're there for the people who don't have. You know, we have high-speed internet in our home, and we have laptops and Kindles and TVs and all these other great things. And when I go and perform at a library, I see a lot of people who need to go to the library to access the internet. And you kind of got to do that to survive these days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We also are seeing, libraries are hubs for early literacy.
Mm-hmm.
Not every family, not every kid can have access to the types of things that set them up for success at school.
Yeah.
And so taking a child to a free story time at the library, that does wonders for their brain development.
Mm-hmm.
Libraries are here for that. Libraries are also here for STEM programs and craft programs. There's so much that you can access for free. And if something at your local library, or there's something you want from your local library, you can also always talk to the librarians and see if there's a chance for them to offer it. Also Library Hop. Oh my goodness. There are so many amazing libraries I know near me, and it's wonderful to see families say, "Oh, I just came from a town over at the library, and I'm coming over here now today." It's just I love that.
Yeah, yeah, yes. It's here in the Boston area. There's so many even just within the Boston Public Library, the branch system. There's the main library where they have tunnels through the bookcases. Kids can crawl through the bookcases. One of my favorite libraries is the East Boston Public Library, just a great place. Our own neighborhood Hyde Park Library here in Hyde Park. Just so many fantastic places. And one of the resources that does not get the credit that they deserve are the librarians. Because the librarians are the original ChatGPT. You could go to a librarian. When I was a kid, I'd have to, if I wanted to research something that was a mile over the hill down to the library, into the library, and, play with the card catalog and try to find something and find the book and then go to the librarian. Hey, can you tell me about this? And off the top of her head, it would be like, yeah, well, that's right over there. And after you finish reading that book, you want to check out this, 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 and this.
Oh, yes. Always come and ask a librarian for a book recommendation. They have them.
Yeah.
They have them. Absolutely. It's so funny because I feel like, oh gosh, today I got a question that I get a lot. And the parent asking it was a little bit like, oh, kind of like, I don't want to bother you. And I was like, please, always, first of all, always come and talk to your librarian. They want to talk to you. And then always ask for book recommendations. This particular one, we get a lot of my kids are reading nothing but graphic novels, and they're looking to maybe transition into a little more, what kind of book might you suggest, or something with a little more text. And that's a question I get a lot. And so I was so excited because I was like, I have answers. Have you tried this? So I love when you get to talk to a parent about book recommendations. I love when a kid comes up because, oh my goodness, that kid is into something and they want all of the shark books. They want all of the haunted house books. They want every single book that you got about detectives. I'm ready for it. It's just such a joy to be able to provide that.
Yeah. So I got to ask you, as somebody who's been answering those questions about shark books and detective books and magic books, how does it feel to think, wow, there are going to be librarians all over the country being asked about Greta Grimsdark.
Oh, I see. Oh gosh, now you're embarrassing me. No, it is such a joy. The thing is that it's very surreal to know that my book will live in my library, but will live in other libraries, that it will live in children's rooms. And I know exactly the kids that I would recommend it to. I know exactly the families that I would point the book out to. This is the kind of book, it's a lower middle grade illustrated story. I've been pitching it as the Addams Family meets Junie B. Jones. It is for those kids who love Dory Phantasmagory. It's for those kids who love Hotel Transylvania. It's a little silly, scary, and eerie in such a fun way. I know exactly which kids I would say, hey, you should check this out. You should check this one out. It's got cute Wednesday Addams vibes, and I can see it being such a perfect bedtime story. I can see it working really well for a classroom read aloud. But I also know that there are those precocious kids who are going to pick it up and are going to be so excited to read it themselves. It's one of those books that is on the shorter side. So it's done purposefully where there are shorter chapters. So you get those quick wins. But it's very humorous. It's very silly, but in a way that I think it's meant to take care of the kids. One thing that I love about writing for this age group is that you are not just writing for the kid. You are writing on so many levels at the same time. You're writing for the caregiver. You're writing for a librarian and a teacher. You are writing for the kid. And I would say the kid is first and foremost, at least in my mind when I'm writing. But I love that it's a puzzle, that I get to do all of that at the same time and think about what that'll be like as an experience for families if they were to read that out loud together.
Awesome.
It's such a joy. I mean, I've been explaining this to kids, because of course the kids at my library, as soon as they find out that Miss Haley wrote a book, oh boy, do they want to know about it. So I've been telling them that, like any normal family, the main character, Greta, her parents are dragons. Totally normal. It happens. Her parents are dragons. She's got a brother who's a ghost, one who might be a vampire. Older brothers are confusing. So maybe he's a vampire, and one who's part zombie, but she is the scariest thing of all, a human child. Yeah. Terrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then all of a sudden, a new neighbor moves in across the street who is also a human child. And she has to figure out if they should be friends, what is a friend. And one thing leads to another, and they almost destroy the world.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Almost.
No, yeah, these things happen, totally normal. It's just been such a joy to say that to the kids who come into the library and hear them crack up, hear them get so excited. And I don't know, it's a very unique experience that I get to have as an author, being a librarian and seeing that side of things.
Yeah. I remember I've told this story before on the podcast, but I remember being at the Chicago Toy Fair, and a family came up. I was exhibiting. We had a bunch of books that we had on the show, and a family came up, and there was like 5 kids. The kids were like 5 to 12, and there were like 3 little ones. And so the parents are looking at the different books. And I said to the 12-year-old, I go, so what kind of books do you like to read? And she turned to me, she goes, I don't like to read. I hate reading. And I said, oh, well, maybe you just haven't found the right book yet. And there was this really silly book, The Last Crankosaurus. Stephen Joseph wrote it. And it's filled with just puns and goofy names. And I just said, hey, take a look at this book. And it's a picture book, but it has all the funny words and everything. And, she reluctantly, she took it out, and the smile. Oh, yeah. I go, you think you'd like, I know you're too old for this, but you think you'd like to read it to your siblings? And yeah. I goes, go ahead. And she just lit up, and it was great. So, I haven't experienced that feeling that you have, but at least once in my life, I was able to do that.
Oh, it's just so magical recommending a book to a kid.
Yeah.
And it's so wild when they come back and they want to talk to you about it. That's a particular kind of joy that I just, hey guys, become librarians. It's awesome.
Yeah. You know, I want to get back to that because, of course, here at Reading with Your Kids, we want families to read with their kids and co-read, read together, read out loud, and not only with your babies, but with your independent readers. And there's so many valuable benefits that kids get from that.
Oh, yes.
But at the same time, it is great when your kids are able to read independently. And they come to you and say, I've read this book. And you can sit down and stop what you're doing and put your phone down and say, tell me about it. And have those conversations. I think that's just as valuable as when we're reading to kids because we're showing that we're interested. We want to know what they're all about, what they love.
Absolutely. And I also love what you just said, too, about how you can read to kids no matter the age, that you can keep reading to kids, because that's something that I think is so special and so important. I've seen a lot of families who are looking for family read aloud books, and they've got kids of different ages, and they take the time at night to have this special bonding time. They read a story all together. It's always a fun and particular kind of challenge to look for those sort of books that are going to appeal to different ages. And of course, it's going to depend entirely on the kids, on those ages, on their interests. But I have absolutely had families tell me how special that is when they get to set that time aside for their kids and their families all together.
Yeah. Can you mention a couple of other, because I launched the podcast back in 2017 solely because I know that my relationship with my now adult kids was built on a foundation of reading. And I know it was great for my kids. And I know it was great for me, and it was great for us as a family. And that was a message, the main message I want to communicate through the podcast. But in doing the podcast, I'm learning there's so many more benefits. Like if you read with your kid 20 minutes a day, every day, by the time they get to kindergarten, they will have heard between 800,000 to 1 million more words than their peers.
Just mind-blowing.
You can't catch up with that. That's the benefit no one can catch up to. Talk about some of the other favorite benefits kids get from reading with their parents.
Well, one thing that I really love, so a little bit of background. I am a nerd. I hope this is an accepting place to say that.
Very, very accepting.
Yeah, I am currently getting my 3rd graduate degree right now.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know if I'd recommend doing that necessarily, but here we are. So I have a degree in education. I have a degree in writing with a focus in writing for children and young adults. And I'm currently getting my degree in library and information sciences. And all of those I feel like work so well together. I did a project on bibliotherapy, and that's something that I'm very passionate about because I think it is extremely important to have books be a safe place, but to also have books be a place where kids can explore emotions. Sometimes it can help them therapeutically with things that they are currently going through, but it also opens their eyes to experiences that they have never had. They're great conversation starters. If there is a topic that a family is grappling with, there's probably a book out there that they could use just to jump off of, just to start that conversation. So bibliotherapy, which is just, again, the therapeutic use of books, or books as a way to start that conversation and help a child who might be struggling with a topic. I think it's so meaningful and so helpful to families who might be struggling through something. But even for a kid who isn't struggling through a certain issue, it can be eye-opening to read a book about a different experience. Yeah. So I don't know, that's one thing that I think is so impressive about reading books, reading widely.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, not every kid is going to be able to get on a BMX motorcycle and, jump the Snake River like Evel didn't do. But, you can think about that and what would I have to do to make that challenge and imagine. And it's kind of like, practicing for life. You kind of get some ideas of, if this ever happened, what would I do?
Absolutely. And when I think about Greta Grimsdark, so my first children's book, not every kid's going to have a ghost as a brother, but I do think kids are going to really relate to that experience of trying to figure out what they're looking for in a friend, to try and figure out what a friend truly means, and to try and find their place in the world in that way. So, using a topic that might seem very silly, that might seem kind of removed from them, but using that as a way to then, have a little bit of something that they absolutely relate to, and a little bit of something that they can connect with, and something they can talk to their families about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's so important. And, the other thing is, I was listening to you talk about Greta. I think it's a way, it's kind of like absurd, to blown up, but it's like, hey, we're all kind of different. And if Greta with the ghost brother can get along with her normal neighbor next door, then, well, maybe I can get along with this kid who speaks a different language or comes to school in a wheelchair, or it is, looks different than me.
Yeah, one of Greta's brothers communicates using sign language, and that's just a fact. That's just a part of the story. The fact that her parents are dragons are also just a fact and a part of the story. It's very important to me to show all of that. Yes, it is a kind of heightened, silly world, but at the same time, Greta is really grappling with a lot of what kids are going through. She is grappling with, what does it mean to be a human, and where is my place in the world, while also dealing with trying to save the world.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, it's something where the stakes might be a little bit heightened, but then at the same time, there are, very, very normal, very relatable issues that are also going on.
Yeah. When did you know that you wanted to live your life in the pages of books?
Oh gosh. I mean, I was always that kid who couldn't put a book down. The first story that I have ever found that I wrote, and I'm using quotation marks for wrote because I did not know how to write at this point. I dictated a story when I was 3 years old to my mom, who wrote it down, lovingly wrote it down. It was a story about the people who lived inside of toothpaste. The kind of thing that a 3-year-old thinks is a great story. And it started then. I have been writing since that silly story about the people who lived inside a tube of toothpaste. I also was that kid who was told that I would have my book taken away from me so that I had to go clean my room. I was that kid. I have always loved books. I've always had a book with me. I'm a big audiobook fan right now, so I always have an audiobook going too. And it's something that's so special to be able to lose yourself and find yourself in stories.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm also a huge fan of audiobook. I've been a fan of audiobooks since the days of when they were on cassettes. And if you were listening to a Stephen King novel, it was 25 of them. And you had to make sure you put them in the right order. And, and it's great to listen to an audiobook together as a family. And you're spending 20 minutes going to ballet and coming home from soccer, and you have all this time in the vehicle. And wouldn't it be better to listen to a story than listen to some of the stuff that's on pop radio?
I mean, it's a great opportunity when you're in the car.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think, as somebody who has done many, many presentations in libraries, like probably not as many as you because you're there every day, but as someone who's been visiting libraries and going up and needing to capture the audience, I think you pull out your first book and share that first book with them about the toothpaste people. That might
I'll open it up. I'll open it. Yeah, I'll start off strong with the people who live inside of toothpaste.
Yeah.
I have been for the last few years doing a teen writers group. And I think it's always cool to hear the stories of what the kids are writing.
Uh-huh.
I think it's always fun to then share a little bit of that behind the scenes, Miss Haley, well, though I'm usually just Haley when it comes to the teenagers, because, they're not going to be calling you Miss Haley. That's,
That ain't cool.
Yeah, no, thank you. But yeah, it's funny getting to talk to them and give them a little bit of insight as we're doing these silly writing exercises and having fun. I don't know though. I don't know if pulling out my own writing has made it more impressive or if they're just like, okay, let's get back to the writing exercise.
Well, they might be entertained by what your mind was doing back when you were 3.
Yeah, I know. I gotta find it. It's gotta be somewhere around here. But no, I've loved writing for so long. I've loved it for ages, and it is truly an honor that I get to introduce a story to the world. I love working with kids and knowing that I will be able to point to my book on the bookshelf in the room where I work and tell kids that, hey, I wrote that, and we can talk about it because they're going to have opinions about it. Already kids have had opinions, which is so wonderful. I've had some little early readers.
Okay.
And it has been so special to hear the kind of things that they come up with.
Oh,
there's actually an illustration in the book that is there because a first grader informed me that it was extremely important for there to be a picture of the plants that eat things, which is something in the story. There are carnivorous plants in it, of course, in that kind of world. And I made a note as I was writing. I made a little note to the illustrator, and it became real. And I got to show her. Hey, you suggested this. You said how important it was, and now it's a reality.
That's so cool. That kid must be on cloud 9.
I think it's extra special too. This particular child is dyslexic and had been really struggling to connect with stories. And so getting to have this special space where she got to have her voice heard and she got to connect to a book in a way that she has never done before. I hope that it was something that'll stick with her.
Yeah. Again, before we go, I want to just make another plug. You just heard Haley tell us about this young child that she knows from the library who made this suggestion. So it's just not this like experience that you get when you go to Dunkin' Donuts. It's, it's like Haley and the librarians are getting to know your kids, and they're getting to know what your kids like and what they don't like and what might excite them and what kind of things where they might need a little bit of extra help and what kind of books can give them that kind of help. One of my favorite branches of the Boston Public Library, it's closed right now, but they took an apartment in one of the housing projects in South Boston, and they turned it into a branch of the Boston Public Library. So it was the living room, and the was turned into the staff lounge, and then there was a bedroom that was an office, and I think there was a bedroom that was became another part of the library. It was the most difficult place for me to perform because it's an apartment. And you got these bookshelves and there's no stage, but we made it work. And that branch, the reason I love this so much is that branch was for the kids that lived in that housing projects, because at the time there's a lot of change going on in that community and there was a lot of violence, and those kids, that was a safe harbor for those kids. And that branch wasn't unique. There are branches like that are serving kids all over this country.
Absolutely. 100%. I mean, go to your local library, support your local libraries, talk to your librarians. They want to talk to you.
Yep.
And I can say as a librarian, please always come and talk to me. I absolutely love having kids come up and ask questions about what story they should read next. And I love when kids come and ask questions about my story. I can't wait to be able to share that with all of them.
Yeah. Let's tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Greta Grimsdark and find out more about you.
Yeah, of course. So you can find me online. My email is Haley Neal, HALEYNEIL.com, HaleyNeal.com. You can find information about my books, and you can find me on Instagram, Haley E. Neal. So HALEY. E in the middle there, NEIL, and that is on Instagram. And I am so absurdly excited to share Greta Grimsdark and the Normal New Neighbor, which is the start of a new lower middle grade series. And I can't wait for you to read that book and the rest of the Greta books to come.
We've had a really wonderful time celebrating Greta Grimsdark, celebrating librarians, and just celebrating fun with our guest, Haley Neal. Hey, Haley, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. It truly is an honor.
Hey, for all the authors that are listening to the show, you know, your book deserves more than just a sticker. If you've written a children's book, can I ask you a question? When your book wins an award, what happens next? For many authors, the answer is not much. You've received a beautiful seal. You celebrate for a couple of days. Maybe you post it on social media, and then life, it moves on. And your wonderful book goes right back to waiting for readers to discover it. At Reading with Your Kids, we believe authors deserve more than that. That's why we created the Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read program. Yes, we carefully review books and celebrate the ones we believe truly deserve to be called Certified Great Reads. That's only where the adventure begins. We create a complete celebration all around your book. A professional review, retailer reviews, a custom announcement video, original social media content, press release, podcast features, marketing ideas, beautiful graphics, and our signature 30-day celebration adventure. A simple, practical guide designed to help you introduce your book to more families, more schools, more libraries, more bookstores, and more communities that are already looking for books just like yours. Because here's something we've learned after interviewing thousands of authors. Great books don't always become successful books. Successful books are the ones that are discovered. Our mission is simple. We want to help your book find the families who need it most. If you'd like to learn more, please visit readingwithyourkids.com and click on the Authors Click Here button up at the top of the page and scroll down to Certified Great Reads. Let's work together to help more kids fall in love with reading, one wonderful book at a time. Hey, my friends, I want to tell you about a coffee company I recently discovered that really lines up with the values we talk about right here at Reading with Your Kids. It's called Afrera Coffee Company, and they're doing things the right way. The coffee is sourced directly from certified Rainforest Alliance farms in Central and South America, with a big focus on farms in El Salvador. I love El Salvador. They work directly with local farmers, support sustainable farming practices, and even use recyclable and combustible packaging. Now, all of that would already make me feel good about supporting them, but honestly, the coffee itself, it's fantastic. You can really taste the quality. The beans are grown in rich volcanic soil and carefully roasted, so the flavor really comes through smooth, rich, and super aromatic. Now, whether you're somebody who loves a strong espresso to get moving in the morning, or you prefer a lighter roast while reading a good book, Afrera has something you're going to enjoy. And this is kind of beautiful. 5% of all their sales goes to charities helping conserve and preserve the great outdoors. So if you'd like to try coffee that tastes amazing and supports good people doing good work, head on over to afreracoffee.com. That's AFUERA coffee.com, and use the promo code READ to get an exclusive 15% off your order. And of course, when you use the code, you're also helping support the podcast. Great coffee and helping families grow closer together. I call that a pretty magical way to start your day. Joining us once again from the fantastic state of Virginia, our guest is returning to Reading with Your Kids. Celebrate her brand new picture book. It's called A River of Wind. Please welcome back to the show, Jenny Neal. Hey, Jenny, how are you?
I'm good, Dudley. Thank you so much for having me on.
Delighted to have you back on. As I understand it, we are recording this on August 10th, and A River of Wind is having its book birthday tomorrow.
It is. It's pretty exciting.
I bet. Congratulations. Tell us a little bit about the book, please.
A River of Wind is a poem about all of the things that travel on the wind. Some things kids and people would know about, but there are some things like spiderlings that people might not know about, but that I've had a personal experience with. So they went in the book.
Okay, you can't leave me hanging on spiderlings. Tell us what are spiderlings?
Well, if you've read Charlotte's Web, then you know what a spiderling is. It's the baby spiders that leave the home when Mama Spider is done. And we know in Charlotte's Web that she also dies after after the eggs hatch. And I was sitting up on a hill behind my house one fall day, and there was all this silky, silvery stuff floating around in the air. I could see it because the sun was in front of me and the webs were in front of me too. And I had a hat on, and a teeny tiny little spider landed on my hat and then dropped down and waved to me and then flew off. And that was really the inspiration for this book. I started thinking about all the things that we know that travel on the wind, but there are also things we don't know. And so spiderlings were one of those things that I wanted to include.
What a neat way to help kids start becoming more aware of their surroundings, especially when we're outside.
Yeah, well, I'm privileged to live where I am, where I get to be in surroundings, but even in the city, these spiderlings, and there's another page about the huge amounts of songbirds that fly over cities at night. You don't see them, but they do call and sing while they're flying. And I know about them because I also became interested in the idea that cities are working hard to keep them from crashing into buildings at night now.
Okay. Yeah. I'm kind of in between. I live in the city of Boston, but we're as far from downtown as you can be and still be within the city. And there's actually a wetland wildlife sanctuary just bordering my property. So we get the best of both worlds. We have lots and lots of birds in our backyard, and thankfully they're not crashing into although they're building a lot of apartment buildings here, so maybe they're going to be crashing into buildings at some point.
Well, lots of cities have become aware of this as an issue, and they're turning off the lights in the buildings at night so that the birds aren't confused by them. And there's a really nifty thing called Birdcast that you can go on your computer, go on the internet, and type in Birdcast, and then there's a map that shows what amounts of songbirds are flying over any particular area on any particular night. And in the spring and the fall, that's when you see this great influx of birds, and they reflect off of radar. That's how they figured out that they could find them.
Wow. Fascinating. Tell me, living in the mountains, living in nature, is that what has sparked this love that you seem to have with nature?
It has. So this is my third book. The first one you and I talked about was The Glorious Forest That Fire Built. The second, Salamander Song, came out this past March. And then this is the third that has a nature theme in it. And my fourth one, which will be out in February, which I can't say yet out loud, will also be nature themed. Wow. So it's living here and seeing all of this really amazing, but also trips that I've taken different places.
Did you always know that you wanted to write children's books?
I have been drawing and writing words to go with the drawing since I was in third grade. So I don't know that I could have said, I want to be a picture book author, but I knew that I loved the combination of words and pictures together. And so that's maybe when I finally retired from teaching, I had a chance to play with it and get better at it.
Yeah. As a teacher, you must have seen a lot of changes in our educational system over the years, some good, some bad. Can you share some of those observations with us?
Well, first of all, children are always children, and that never changes. Mm-hmm. The way that we interact with the children changes, and the adults and the things that are going on in their lives change. But the children, they stay exactly the same. But what I have seen is, I know everybody says it, but it's true. Attention spans are less, especially after COVID, because kids spent so much time sitting in front of screens. And I had retired, but I was working part-time teaching STEM when COVID hit, and I was hired to do some online teaching of just regular classes during that time period. And I saw when I came back to school once STEM was over, there were some things missing, fine motor skills that normally got taught in first and second grade. Children just didn't have the chance to practice. The idea of being with a lot of other kids and having to find out how to get along, that got lost in the shuffle too. So that's probably the two biggest changes that I've seen.
Yeah, we've actually talked a lot about that here on the podcast. Not surprising, a lot of teachers, a lot of educators become children's authors. And one of the things that I've heard repeatedly, especially from kindergarten teachers, is that we're schoolifying kids at an earlier and earlier age, expecting them to sit in rows to take tests, when, kindergarten was always about play and letting kids learn how to get along with each other and work through problems and just be happy.
That's true. But I've been reading, because I'm a teacher, I keep up with a lot of education journals, and there's a pushback right now. People are beginning to say, oh, maybe we need to let kids get their social skills more. Maybe we need to not be testing at the same time that they're putting more computers in the classroom. So I don't know which one's going to win, but I'm rooting for social skills and having time just to get interested in the world.
Yeah. Me too. One of the things that I noticed, as doing educational magic shows and traveling around the country and visiting different schools and school systems, is that ideas kind of come in waves. An idea will start maybe, I know the first school that asked me to come in and do something around the topic of bullying was up in Maine. And so they were kind of ahead of the game, and they just kind of rolled through states. And it was very interesting because all of a sudden I get a lot of work in New Jersey, then I get a lot of work in Virginia, then I get a lot of work in New York, and it just, kind of went on. And then unfortunately it seemed like after, 9 or 10 years, the people where it started kind of forgot about it and said, oh, we don't need to deal with that anymore. It's like, no, kids are kids.
Well, and I've seen that with bullying. Having been in the schools, I taught 38 years. Uh-huh. And I can tell you that there were bullying programs, and then they would go away, and then another bullying program would come, and that would go away. And it was always frustrating because you really need consistency for a program to work. It needs to be in there long term, right. And people really need to learn how to work it.
Yeah. It got to the point I addressed the topic for so long that the final kind of version of my show, which, lasted for a long time, we didn't even use the word bullying. I was talking to kids about building a culture of respect.
I like that.
Standing up for each other and making sure that everybody is included. And if you kind of do that, then the bullying kind of takes care of itself.
I think that's true. I also know that as a sixth grader myself, I had one of those, the last of the breed, those old teachers who'd made their whole lives their career teaching, Mrs. Carter. And she pulled me aside as a sixth grader and said, you are not being kind to this other girl. And I hadn't even thought about it till she said something. It was important that she did that she pulled me aside and pointed out to me what I was doing. And I think that sometimes we don't want to make children unhappy.
Yeah.
And she didn't care about that. She cared about the child that I was making unhappy.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Your books seem to inspire kids to be curious. One of the things we've talked a lot about here on the podcast lately is with everybody freaking out about AI and how quickly that's progressing, and people are, we're not going to have jobs and the school's going to be different. And I actually think there are going to be more jobs created by AI, but I think education is going to need to change. And I think one of the things that will really help kids is if we help them become curious. What kind of things do you think we can do to help kids be curious?
Encourage them to ask questions instead of answer them all the time. Take them outside and let them explore without telling them what they're seeing. Give them open-ended tasks when they go out so that they can find their way, or just let them go out and be without the supervision that's constantly looking over their shoulder, telling them what they should be doing and where they should be. Because kids are naturally curious. And if you give them 5 sticks and you walk away, they're going to play with them if that's all that's in front of them. So less stimulating stuff, more free time to just be.
Wait a minute, Jenny, are you suggesting that we let kids be kids and go out and just play with each other? How dare you? My goodness.
I know, it's a radical thought.
Where did we get you've seen it, we went from, when I was a kid, go out, come back home when the street lights come on, to, where kids, there's not a moment of their lives that isn't scheduled or isn't supervised.
I think that the more we learned about what was happening in the world, maybe not even in our own neighborhoods, the more fearful people got that it might happen to them. So that's a harm. I read this great history, and I actually want to write a book about it, so I shouldn't give it away, but it's about these two boys who, at the age of 5 and 7, have you ever heard about that? Back in the 1800s, their dad let them get on horseback and ride like hundreds of miles with no adult supervision to go, and they made it.
I didn't hear about it, but it doesn't surprise me. I've told this story on the podcast. When I was in 7th grade, me and my buddy would just get on our bikes in the summertime and just ride. We loved reading maps, and we'd get maps out and we'd ride our bikes to different towns. And somehow we found out that one of our teachers lived like 2 or 3 towns over. And we decided we'd just visit her one day. We just showed up on her doorstep, knocked on the door. She was not happy. She wasn't angry. She was surprised. She's like, what are you guys doing here?
Yeah, I think we underestimate kids, and putting a black box in front of them just makes them smaller.
Right.
And they are bigger than that.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing, I know when the screen started becoming available to kids, it was in my son, he's in his mid-30s right now. It was like, oh, this is neat. This gives my son access to the world. But it also gives the world access to our kids. And I think we forget about that.
I was just I presented at the Greater Federation of Women's Clubs this weekend, and they had a speaker there, a young girl who'd actually been abducted because of her experience. And so there is that. And I'm just going to say this, there's this move to ban books, but there's not a move to protect kids on the internet. And of the two, the more dangerous one by far is the internet.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. I don't think anybody's been abducted by someone jumping out of a book.
Well, maybe their brain and their imagination.
There you go. So what keeps you, you had this long career. My wife, and I must say this, you're the first retired teacher who's come on that didn't say, I did 38 years, like it was a prison sentence. You said you taught for 38 years. All of my wife and all of her friends are like, yeah, I did 30 years. I did 35 years. But you had this long career serving kids. And you're at a point now where you can just sit back and relax, but instead you're creating kids' books, and that's basically starting your own business. And you're now the CEO of this small business of yours. And what fires that passion?
Well, if I write books, then I get to go into classrooms and share them with kids. That's a lot of it. I really like, and I don't do a whole lot. I live so far away from everything that I can't. Traveling means I have to stay somewhere, but I try to do it as much as I can. And that's the joy. I love going into schools and letting kids interact and finding new ways to build their curiosity and to get them excited.
I'm curious, what are some of the most interesting questions that kids have asked you during one of your school visits?
Well, I can't think of an interesting question, but I'll tell you a funny story. Okay. So I go in and my screen is always up with my picture and the books that I've written. That's my opening screen. And so the kids all come in and sit down and they see that. And then I walk in and one kid raises his hand and he says, "You're a lot younger in that picture than you are now." Good observation. He had great observational skills.
When my kids were younger, I was at a magic convention, and all the kids who came to the convention would get a poster with all the magicians who were going to be performing. And the one year my kids wanted to go get everybody's autograph, and there was one performer whose autograph they hadn't gotten yet. And so one of my buddies, who was a working magician, said, "Oh, hey, there's Jonathan over there. And my kid looks at the picture and the poster, and he looks up at the performer, and he said, nah, I ain't the same guy. That's And the performer overheard it and said, you're right, that was me 30 years ago.
Yeah, well, my picture was only like 10 years old, but oh me. So questions, it's harder to remember because most of the kids ask the same kinds of questions, when did you know you wanted to do this, or how do you do things, or, is this something I can do? I haven't ever really gotten a question that threw me.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me so you mentioned that there's a fourth book that you can't mention its name, and we won't press you on that, but do you have a kind of a master plan? Are you looking to write 10, 15, 20 more books over the course of time?
I'll keep doing it till I don't want to do it anymore. I've illustrated all my books except one. Uh-huh. And so this fourth book coming out will be the third one that I've illustrated. And that's still fun. And I'm still learning. Uh-huh. It stops being fun when you're not learning. And yeah. I'm always learning something new. The newest book coming out is a board book, an interactive board book. So there was a whole learning curve on how do you create illustrations that will work with the way that they want it to be interactive. So that was fun. It was a lot of fun to do that.
Yeah. So you still love learning, still love being curious.
I do. I'm at heart a STEM teacher. That was my last career in the classroom, and it was my favorite.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And what kind of things do you think we can do if a parent is out there listening? What kind of things can a parent do to encourage kids to investigate the STEM fields?
Be curious themselves.
Okay.
Model for kids what it is, they're looking for when they go out. Not be the sage on stage, but be the questioner who says, well, I don't know. What do you think? That's one of my favorite, answers when a kid says, well, why did that do that? Instead of answering it, you say, well, I don't know. What do you think? So that gets them to thinking of, and then involve them in daily things, and even in the home. Doing chores helps kids develop skills, because kids who hate chores are going to find creative ways to make them easier.
Yeah. Let's tell everybody where they can go to find out more about A River of Wind and find out more about you.
Well, I have a website. Should I just tell you that address?
Absolutely.
So I have an author website, and it's www.jennyneil. It's GINNYNEIL, my name. So www.jennyneilwrites.com. Or you can look me up. I have this really interesting name that when I Google myself, I'm the only one that comes up, because I'm the only GINNYNEIL that appears to be on the internet. So I'm easy to find. And my books are anywhere you can buy a book. Barnes and Nobles. I always encourage people to go to bookshop.org if you're going to do them online, because they support local bookstores, and that's really important.
We've had a really fun time speaking to the author of A River of Wind, this brand new picture book from our guest, Jenny Neil. Hey, Jenny, thanks so much for being back with us.
Thank you for all you do to encourage kids to continue reading.
Hey, we hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids and will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. As always, if this episode made you smile or gave you something to think about, please consider sharing a link to the show with someone you love. Leave a 5-star review and, of course, subscribe to the show wherever you find your favorite shows. We'd also love for you to connect with us on social media, facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, @readingwithyourkids on Instagram, @JedleyMagic on X, our YouTube channel, youtube.com/readingwithyourkids, and our website, it's readingwithyourkids.com. Want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful, starting with our guest, Haley Neal. Please be sure to check out Greta Grimsdark. We also want to thank Jenny Neal. Please be sure to check out A River of Wind. Want to thank my team, Daylene Rose, Advina Lopez, Chris Doherty, Madison Lucchese. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the love and support she brings into my life. Most of all, we want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better, more caring, more empathetic place, and to give your kids what they really want. They don't want your dime, they want your time. And you do that every single time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.
Long before the internet, before planes crossed the sea, people sat around the fire asking how should we be. In mountains, deserts, villages, in cities big and small, different words, same question, heard the same truth call. No maps, no phones, no way to know what others far away would say, but hearts kept listening and somehow found the same way. Treat others like you want to be treated, care for them the way you hope they'll care for you. Different words, different songs, different voices, but one simple truth keeps shining through. From every corner of the world we see, kindness is the rule for you and me. Some said walk in someone else's shoes, some said do no harm, some said love your neighbor, some said choose what's warm, some said what you give will return, some said lift others when they fall. Different ways to say the same thing, love connects us all. So many cultures far apart, yet wisdom landed close to home. The same light glowing in every heart, even when we felt alone. Treat others like you want to be treated, care for them the way you hope they'll care for you. Different words, different songs, different voices, but one simple truth keeps shining through. From every corner of the world we see, kindness is the rule for you and me. If you want respect, give respect. If you want kindness, be kind. If you want love, share love. It works every place, every time. Treat others like you want to be treated. Stand in their place and you'll start to see. Every heart wants hope and safety. Every child wants dignity. Different stories, but when we choose that one simple truth, we all win too. Across the world, across all time, we found the same truth, yours and mine. Real magic lives in what we do when I treat you